Imagine turning on the news tomorrow morning and seeing something unprecedented. Millions of people, not protesting, not rioting, simply walking toward borders, checkpoints, fences, walls, walking with quiet determination, with collective purpose, with the shared understanding that today something changes. Today they're crossing, permission or not, documents or not. They're moving, and there are too many to stop. This isn't invasion. This isn't war. This is spontaneous human movement. Millions of individuals making simultaneous decision that borders shouldn't restrict them, that invisible lines on maps shouldn't determine their opportunities, their futures, their lives. They're not organized. No leaders, no plan, just mass decision, emergent behavior, humanity choosing movement over restriction. What would actually happen? Not in movie sense with dramatic music and overnight revolution. In real sense, with real consequences, real challenges, real chaos, real everything. What happens when the structures that organize 8 billion humans suddenly dissolve? When the systems that maintain order suddenly fail? When the borders that separate nations suddenly mean nothing? This is exploration of that scenario, not advocacy, not criticism, just examination. What would really happen if all borders disappeared tomorrow? Let's find out. The beginning. It starts with video. Just one video goes viral. Shows family at border checkpoint. Parents, 3 children, they're walking past guards, past barriers, past the infrastructure designed to stop them. The guards yell, order them to stop, point weapons. The family keeps walking, not running, not fighting, just walking. Like the checkpoint doesn't exist. Like permission isn't required. Like borders are optional. The guards don't shoot. They're confused. This isn't attack, isn't invasion. It's just family. Walking. Do you shoot family for walking? The hesitation is fatal. The family passes through, crosses into next region, disappears, successfully. Undocumented, unpermitted, but successful. The video explodes online. Hundreds of millions of views within days. People watching this impossible thing happen. Family just walked through border. Guards did nothing. Everyone's been told borders are absolute. You need documents, need permission, need authorization. But this family proved otherwise. They just walked through and succeeded. No consequences, no violence, no problem, just success. And people start thinking, dangerous thinking. If one family can do it, why not 10 families? Why not 100? Why not 1,000? What if everyone just walked? What would happen? Could guards stop everyone? Would they shoot everyone for walking? Within weeks, small groups gather at various borders. Not coordinated, not planned, just coincidental. People with same idea, same desperation, same hope. They walk toward checkpoints. Tens of people, then hundreds. Guards see them coming, order them back. Nobody goes back. They keep walking. Guards face choice. Shoot hundreds of peaceful people or let them pass. Most let them pass, not all. Some shoot. Create tragedies, create martyrs, create fuel for movement. More people try, more succeed, more videos spread. The pattern establishes. Think about someone living in difficult circumstances. Poor region, no opportunity, no future. They've heard about better places, better jobs, better life. But there's border. They don't have documents, don't have money for visa process, don't have years to wait for approval that might never come. The border was absolute barrier until they see the videos, see people walking through, see guards letting them pass, see success. Why not try? What's worst outcome? They send you back? You're already here. Might as well try. They try, they succeed, they share their success. More people try, more succeed. The cycle accelerates. The numbers grow exponentially. Groups become crowds. Crowds become masses. Masses become millions. Within month, every major border has thousands attempting crossings. Many succeeding, some failing, all trying. Social media coordinates without organizing. It works here. Try this route. These guards let people through. Information spreads. Techniques improve. Success rates increase. The movement grows. The spread. Second month, the movement reaches critical mass. Not thousands crossing borders, millions. Not one border, all borders, simultaneously. Like humanity collectively decided borders are over. No conspiracy, no coordination, just mass decision. Everyone seeing everyone else do it. Everyone joining. Because if millions are doing it, must be okay, must be possible, must be new reality. The demographics are predictable. People flow from poor regions toward wealthy regions, from dangerous areas toward safe areas, from oppressive territories toward free ones. The movement is directional, obvious, understandable. People seeking better lives, better opportunities, better safety. That's human nature. That's been true for millennia. Only difference now is nothing stops them. No barriers, no bureaucracy, no delays, just movement. Picture someone who's been waiting years for visa approval. 5 years of applications. Fees, rejections, reapplications. Stuck in bureaucratic limbo. Never approved, never finally rejected. Just waiting. Then they see millions walking across borders. No visas, no paperwork, no permission. Just walking. Successfully. Why keep waiting? Why follow process that doesn't work? They stop waiting. They walk. They succeed. Bureaucracy becomes irrelevant. Border infrastructure becomes meaningless. Fences get holes. Walls get gaps. Checkpoints get bypassed. The physical barriers that cost billions become obstacles. People walk around, climb over, cut through, not destructively for ideology, just practically for movement. This is in my way, I need to pass. The damage is incidental, necessary, pragmatic. The infrastructure built to stop migration fails, not through violence, through irrelevance, through obsolescence, through being overwhelmed. Guards face impossible situations. 10 guards, 10,000 people approaching. What's the plan? Shoot 10,000 peaceful people? That's massacre. That's war crime. That's career ending. Life ending maybe, or let them through. That's abandoning post. That's dereliction. That's also career ending. But at least you're not murderer. Most choose to let people through. Some don't. The ones who don't create tragedies. Videos spread. Guard who shot peaceful migrants. Guard's name becomes infamous. Guard's family receives threats. Most guards see this. Choose humanity. Choose survival. Choose to step aside. Governments panic. Deploy military. Declare emergencies. Try to establish control. It's futile. You can't guard every mile. Can't be everywhere. Can't stop millions with thousands. The borders are too long. The people too many. The will too determined. Some governments try negotiation. Please stop. We'll expedite your applications. Just follow procedure. Nobody listens. Why trust promises? Why wait for maybe? When walking works now, the negotiations fail. The walking continues. The borders effectively disappear. Here's what's fascinating. Border enforcement depended on compliance, on most people following rules, on social acceptance of borders as legitimate. When that acceptance ends, enforcement becomes impossible. Borders weren't maintained by walls, by guards, by weapons. They were maintained by belief, by collective agreement that invisible lines matter. When agreement dissolves, borders dissolve. That's what's happening. Not destruction of borders, dissolution, through non-compliance, through rejection, through refusal to accept their legitimacy. Imagine border guard who's worked this job for 20 years, believed in it, believed borders protect national sovereignty, believed enforcement matters. Then they're standing there, facing thousands of peaceful people, families, children, elderly, all walking toward them, and realizing, I can't stop this. Even if I shoot some, more keep coming. Tomorrow, next day, forever. The job is impossible. The borders are over. Can lower weapon, accept reality, let people pass. Or can shoot, kill some, accomplish nothing, become monster. Most lower their weapon, most accept. Most choose humanity over duty. Because duty is impossible, Because resistance is futile. Because new reality is arriving whether they accept or not. The resistance. But some governments refuse to surrender, refuse to accept borderless world, deploy not just border guards but military, not just small arms but heavy weapons, not just personnel but automated systems, drones, sensors, kill zones. They're not arresting, they're stopping permanently. These escalations create humanitarian disasters. Footage spreads, military firing into crowds, killing people for crossing borders, killing families seeking opportunities, killing children for walking. International community responds with outrage, condemnation, sanctions. The governments justify it as sovereignty protection, as self-defense, as border integrity. Technically they're right, these are illegal crossings, mass violations, but they're also human beings, dying, for walking, for hoping, for trying to survive. The violence doesn't stop movement, intensifies it. People know the risk, accept it, take it anyway. Because staying is worse than dying trying to leave. Because desperation overcomes fear. Because hope is stronger than terror. They walk toward the guns. Some die, others make it through. Deaths become statistics, tragedies, fuel. More people join, more people try. Violence becomes counterproductive, creates sympathy, creates determination, creates momentum. Think about mother with 2 children, lives in region with no future, sees footage of military killing migrants at borders, knows the danger, knows she might die, knows children might die, walks toward border anyway, because staying guarantees slow suffering, poverty, hopelessness, decay. Walking offers chance, maybe quick death, maybe successful crossing, maybe better future for children. The math is brutal, but clear. She walks, thousands like her walk. They know risk, choose it, accept it, because humans gamble everything for hope. Even when hope requires walking through danger, military forces face breaking points. Soldiers are human. Shooting one person is one thing. Shooting thousands is different. Shooting children is harder. Shooting infants is nearly impossible. Some soldiers refuse orders, drop weapons, desert. They're punished, court-martialed, imprisoned, executed in extreme cases. Doesn't matter. More refuse, more walk away, more choose humanity. Military forces shrink through defection, not casualties. Conscience. People refusing to be monsters. Some governments try non-lethal deterrence, tear gas, water cannons, sound weapons, barriers, trenches, anything to stop flow without mass killing. Works temporarily, slows people, stops some, but not enough, never enough. People keep coming, keep trying, keep finding ways. The non-lethal defenses become obstacles, nuisances, not solutions, because you can't stop migration at this scale without killing. Either kill people or let them through. No middle ground. Internal divisions emerge. Some citizens support enforcement, support military action, see this as invasion, threat, existential crisis. Others oppose violence, support migrants, see humanitarian catastrophe, moral imperative, evolution. Nations fracture internally, sometimes violently. Civil conflicts emerge over fundamental question. Are borders worth killing for? The answer varies. By region, by person, by values. No consensus, just division. Economic pressures compound. Regions using violence see sanctions, boycotts, isolation. Economies suffer. Populations suffer. Ability to maintain resistance diminishes. They need resources, need trade, need cooperation. But that requires ending violence, accepting migrants, accepting new reality. Choice becomes stark, violence and poverty or peace and prosperity. Most eventually choose prosperity, gradually, reluctantly, bitterly, but they choose it. Borders open, killing stops, movement continues. Picture political leader built entire career on border security, on sovereignty, on protection, watching life's work dissolve, watching borders become meaningless, watching policies become obsolete, could accept reality, could adapt, could lead into new world, or could resist, could fight, could use violence. Many resist, order military action, kill migrants, become pariahs, names associated with massacres, legacies destroyed, nations suffering, eventually removed by elections, by coups, by replacement. New leaders emerge, leaders accepting borderless reality, leaders choosing adaptation, leaders surviving through flexibility, the acceptance. There's moment when resistance ends, can't pinpoint exactly when, but collective exhaustion sets in. Governments stop fighting, stop resisting, make announcements. We can no longer effectively enforce borders. Movement is now unrestricted. We will adapt. Wording varies. Messages same. Surrender. Borders lost. Enforcement ended. New reality accepted. Acceptance isn't universal. Some regions never formally acknowledge. Just stop enforcing. Stop prosecuting violations. Stop caring. Borders become unenforced laws. Like old regulations nobody follows. They exist on paper, irrelevant in practice. Nobody prosecuted, nobody deported, nobody stopped. Just movement, unrestricted, unmanaged, uncontrolled. International organizations attempt frameworks, registration systems, tracking mechanisms, ways to manage billions now mobile, creates bureaucracy. Nobody follows it. Why would they? Nobody followed old rules. New rules are equally ignored. Organizations create paperwork. Paperwork gets ignored. Reality diverges from official systems. Gap widens. Eventually organizations give up, except they can't manage what's unmanageable, can't control what's uncontrollable, can't regulate what's already happened. Psychological shift occurs. People who respected borders for life suddenly free to ignore them. Most don't move. That's surprising. Everyone assumed once borders disappeared, billions would migrate immediately. Doesn't happen. Most stay. Because home is home. Because familiar is comfortable. Because moving is hard. The flow is large. Unprecedented, historic. But millions, not billions. Most humans stay where they are, just appreciating freedom to move if needed. Security of option. Comfort of possibility. Without necessarily using it. Think about someone living comfortably. Good job, nice home, happy family. Borders disappear. Could move anywhere now. Better climate, different culture, new experiences. Doesn't move because life is good. Moving means starting over. Learning possibly new language, making new friends, finding new job. Too much work, too much risk, too much disruption. Stays, enjoys life, appreciates new freedom without exercising it, like having money never spent. Security matters more than spending. But people who do move transform everything, the desperate, the ambitious, the oppressed. They move in waves, millions, tens of millions, toward opportunity, toward safety, toward better life. Wealthy regions see massive influx. Poor regions see massive exodus. Flow is predictable, inevitable, transformative, changes both origin and destination, permanently, irreversibly, fundamentally. The chaos. First year is overwhelming. Cities designed for millions receive tens of millions. Housing shortage becomes crisis. Public services overwhelmed. Transportation maxed. Everything stretched beyond capacity. Some cities adapt, build rapidly, improvise solutions, become dense, become innovative, become successful. Others collapse, can't handle influx, can't provide services, can't maintain anything, become chaotic, become dangerous, become warnings. Crime becomes complex issue. Police designed for known populations, for trackable residents, for documented persons. Now everyone's anonymous, everyone's mobile, everyone's untraceable. Some criminals exploit this, move freely, commit crimes, disappear, reappear elsewhere, repeat. Law enforcement struggles, can't track, can't prosecute, can't prevent, can't maintain order with fluid population. But interestingly, overall crime doesn't spike as feared. Most criminals stay local. Most crime is opportunistic. Most criminals don't benefit from mobility, except organized crime, trafficking. Though what's trafficked when borders don't exist? The crime landscape changes, but doesn't explode, just transforms. Employment transforms radically. No work permits needed. No visa restrictions. Anyone can work anywhere. Theoretically, practically complicated. Language barriers exist. Credential recognition fails. Discrimination persists. Just because borders disappeared doesn't mean prejudice did. Getting job as migrant remains difficult, just not impossible, just not illegal. The opportunity exists. Exploitation also exists. Migrants often take low-wage work, difficult work, dangerous work, because options are limited, because alternative was staying home, because this is still better, even if it's not good. Imagine doctor from poor region, migrates to wealthy region seeking opportunity. Credentials aren't recognized, needs recertification, needs years of additional training, can't afford it, needs work now, takes whatever's available, cleaning, construction, service, doctor working as janitor, humiliating, disappointing, but better paid than being doctor back home, better future for children, better life, eventually, maybe. The compromise is brutal, but voluntary. Millions make it. Brain drain becomes brain waste. Highly educated people doing menial work. Because credentials don't transfer. Because wealthy regions protect professional monopolies through licensing, through requirements, through bureaucracy replacing border barriers. Housing becomes catastrophe. Influx is massive. Housing supply is fixed. Can't build instantly. Millions arrive needing shelter. Tent cities emerge. Massive camps, shanty towns, slums, not temporary, permanent, growing, expanding, becoming cities within cities. Wealthy regions try managing, try providing services, try maintaining standards. Mostly fail. Scale too large, influx too constant, resources too limited. Housing crisis becomes defining feature, permanent feature, accepted reality. But some regions innovate. Modular housing, prefabricated, high density, vertical, communal. New models emerge. Some work, some fail. Successful models spread, get copied, get improved. Housing crisis forces innovation, forces new thinking, forces solutions that wouldn't happen without crisis. Disaster becomes opportunity. Necessity becomes innovation. Chaos becomes creativity. Public services strain, schools overcrowded, triple capacity, teachers overwhelmed, kids on floors, sharing books, learning in chaos, multiple languages, multiple systems, multiple everything. It's barely functional, but education continues. Kids learn, not well, not efficiently, but they learn, because humans adapt, teachers dedicate, children persist, healthcare collapses and rebuilds, hospitals packed, emergency rooms full, can't handle volume. Triage becomes permanent, treat severe, send mild away, hope they survive. It's brutal, but necessary, but temporary. Systems adapt. Mobile clinics, community health, telemedicine, prevention focus. New healthcare model emerges. Different, less ideal, more realistic, functional, barely, but functional. The cultural mixing. The mixing is unprecedented. Thousands of cultures suddenly coexisting. Different languages, different religions, different values, different everything. Same cities, same neighborhoods, same buildings. Friction is inevitable, constant, exhausting, but also enriching, eventually. Language becomes barrier and bridge. Cities become polyglot. Dozens of languages, hundreds of dialects. Communication through gestures, pictures, simple words. Pidgin languages emerge. Hybrid languages. Mixing sources into something new. Something functional. Something allowing communication despite no common tongue. It's crude. It works. It evolves language in real time. Think about homogeneous neighborhood. Same ethnicity, same culture, same language. Comfortable, familiar, known. Overnight it becomes 50 cultures. Food changes, smells change, sounds change. Languages unrecognizable, music unfamiliar, everything alien. Original residents feel invaded, feel lost, feel strangers in own neighborhood. Many leave, seek familiar elsewhere, create new enclaves, new homogeneous spaces. Human nature seeking comfort, seeking familiar, seeking home. But some stay, some adapt, some embrace change, learn new languages, try new foods, make new friends, discover new perspectives. They're enriched, they're challenged, they're bridge builders, connectors, cultural translators. They explain one side to other, reduce friction, increase understanding, enable coexistence. They're essential, unrecognized, underappreciated, but essential. Religious tensions exist, different faiths, neighboring, sharing walls, sharing streets, sharing schools. Differences become pronounced, prayer times, dietary rules, holidays, modesty. Everything becomes negotiation, becomes compromise, becomes conflict sometimes. Tolerance isn't natural, it's learned, through conflict and resolution, repeatedly. Eventually, most neighborhoods find balance, find accommodation. Not everywhere, not always, but mostly. Coexistence becomes norm, gradually. Intermarriage increases, young people from different cultures meeting, working together, living together, falling in love. Parents often object, marry within our kind. Young people marry anyway. Love doesn't respect boundaries. Next generation is mixed, hybrid, multicultural individuals. Can't identify with one group, identify with many. Create new identity, global identity, human identity. This generation has no homeland. Every place is home. No culture is solely theirs. Every culture is partially theirs, their future. Bridge generation, one's making borderless world functional, eventually. Food culture explodes, every cuisine everywhere. Street food from 100 cultures, restaurants from 1,000 traditions. Fusion happens naturally, accidentally. Cook from one culture using ingredients from another, creating something new, something unexpected, sometimes something delicious. Food diversity alone makes many people appreciate borderless world. Even people unhappy about everything else appreciate food. Variety, interest, flavor, small victory, meaningful victory, delicious victory. The economic transformation. Economic transformation is dramatic. Labor mobility becomes absolute. Workers go where jobs exist instantly. No barriers, no delays. If region needs workers, workers arrive. If region has unemployment, workers leave. Labor market becomes truly free, truly mobile, truly global for first time. Wages change. Workers from poor regions earning fraction of wealthy region wages. They migrate. Millions migrate. Labor supply in wealthy regions increases. Wages decrease. Not to poverty levels, just toward equilibrium. Wage gaps narrow because borders prevented competition. Without borders, competition is global. Wages reflect global supply and demand, not local manipulation protected by restricted movement. Think about construction worker in wealthy region earning good wage, living comfortably. Then millions of construction workers arrive from poor regions, willing to work half the wage, still double their home wage. Still great opportunity for them. Original workers' wage drops. Living standard declines. They're unhappy. They blame migrants. They want restrictions back. They don't understand their previous wage was artificial, protected by barriers, protected by accident of birth. Now market is fair. Wages reflect actual supply and demand. They're not happy. Millions like them aren't happy. But market forces don't care about happiness. They care about efficiency. Overall economy grows massively. Flow of labor, flow of ideas, flow of innovation creates growth. GDP increases, especially in regions embracing migration, integrating effectively, adapting quickly. Economic predictions of disaster were wrong. Assumed fixed resources, assumed zero sum, didn't account for creativity, for entrepreneurship, for value creation. Billions newly able to pursue opportunities creates billions of new opportunities. Economic pie grows, not just redistributed. Corporations benefit enormously, can hire anyone, can move operations anywhere, can optimize completely. Largest companies become truly global, teams distributed, working seamlessly, time zones irrelevant, location irrelevant, talent everywhere, access unlimited, companies adapting thrive, companies unable to adapt fail, disappear. Small businesses suffer, many of them. Competed locally before, now compete globally, with corporations optimizing globally, sourcing globally, pricing globally. Small can't compete, many close. Economic landscape shifts toward big, toward global, toward efficient, away from local, away from personal, away from community. It's loss, real loss, but consequence of borderless economics. Can't have benefits without costs. Why borders exist. This scenario demonstrates something crucial, something easy to forget in theoretical discussions. Borders exist for reasons, not arbitrary reasons, not purely oppressive reasons, practical reasons, functional reasons, reasons that become obvious when borders disappear and consequences unfold. Borders provide order. They create manageable units. Governments can serve populations when those populations are defined, when they're bounded, when they're knowable. Without borders, who does government serve? Who pays taxes? Who receives services? The chaos we explored wasn't inevitable evil. It was predictable consequence of removing organizational structure without replacement. The housing crisis, the overwhelmed services, the security challenges, all stem from trying to provide governance without defined population. Borders defined those populations. Without them, governance becomes nearly impossible at previous scale and quality. Borders enable resource management, healthcare systems designed for specific populations, educational systems sized for specific student numbers, infrastructure built for specific usage levels. When borders disappear and populations become fluid, planning becomes impossible. How many hospital beds? How many schools? How many roads? The answer constantly changes. Investment becomes guesswork. Long-term planning becomes futile. The infrastructure struggles we examined weren't failures of will. They were inevitable consequences of unpredictable demand overwhelming fixed supply. Borders made demand predictable, made planning possible, made sustainable governance achievable. Borders protect cultural identity, not in xenophobic sense, in practical sense. Languages survive when communities speaking them remain intact. Traditions persist when populations practicing them stay cohesive. Customs continue when enough people share them. The cultural mixing we explored brought benefits, food, art, innovation, but also brought loss, dilution, disappearance, small cultures overwhelmed, minority languages dying, traditional practices forgotten, not through oppression, through dispersal, through mixing, through natural consequence of unrestricted movement. Borders preserved cultures by maintaining communities. Without them, dominant cultures dominate, small cultures disappear. Diversity at community level increases. Diversity at global level might decrease. Paradox of mixing. Borders create accountability. Governments are accountable to citizens. Citizens are defined by borders. Without borders, who's accountable to whom? Who governs? Who pays? Who decides? The political chaos we explored wasn't accidental. It was structural. Remove borders without replacing them with alternative organizational principle and governance collapses. Not because governments are evil, because governance requires structure. Structure requires definition. Definition requires boundaries. Borders provided those boundaries. Without them, new boundaries must emerge. Subscription governments, voluntary associations, something. Otherwise just chaos, permanent chaos, ungovernable chaos. Borders manage migration flows, not to prevent migration entirely, to regulate it, to allow controlled immigration, to enable integration at sustainable pace. The massive migration waves we explored brought economic benefits, but also brought overwhelming strain. Housing couldn't keep pace. Services couldn't scale. Integration couldn't happen because too many people moving too quickly. Borders allowed controlled immigration, allowed matching immigration rates to integration capacity, allowed sustainable growth instead of overwhelming chaos, Remove borders and flow becomes flood. Benefits exist, but costs overwhelm, integration fails, chaos ensues. Borders provide security, not just military security, social security, economic security, legal security. They define who belongs, who has rights, who has responsibilities. They enable social contracts, enable welfare systems, enable mutual obligation. The security challenges we explored weren't just crime, they were fundamental. How do you maintain social compact when membership is fluid? How do you provide safety nets when population is undefined? How do you create mutual obligation when people can arrive and leave freely? Borders made these systems possible, made them sustainable, made them work. Without them, security becomes individual, private, purchased, not collective, not guaranteed, not equal. This doesn't mean borders are perfect. They create injustice. They separate families. They restrict opportunity. They protect privilege. They enable exploitation. They cause suffering, real suffering. Legitimate grievances exist against border systems, against restrictions, against separations, against inequalities. Borders aren't ideal. They're just necessary. Or at least removing them without replacement creates problems worse than problems they cause. That's what this scenario demonstrates. That's what this exploration reveals. That's why borders persist despite their injustices. The current system exists because alternatives are worse. Not because it's perfect, not because it's just. Because trying to organize 8 billion humans without some boundaries creates chaos, creates insecurity, creates instability, creates conditions worse than imperfect border system. That's not moral judgment. That's practical observation. That's lesson of this scenario. Borders aren't evil. They're functional, imperfectly functional, unjustly functional sometimes, but functional. Remove them and function disappears. Replace with chaos. That's what this scenario shows. That's what really happens. That's why borders exist. Not for oppression, for organization, for management, for enabling stable governance of massive populations, imperfectly, but necessarily. The conclusion. This scenario explored possibility. What if borders disappeared tomorrow? What would actually happen? The answer is complex. Some people benefit, many people suffer. Some systems improve, most systems collapse. Some opportunities emerge. Most stability disappears. It's not simple, not binary, not good or bad, just complicated, just realistic, just honest assessment of what borderless world means. In practice, not theory. The exploration reveals why current system exists, not as propaganda, not as justification, as explanation. Borders persist because alternatives create specific problems, predictable problems. We explored those problems: housing crisis, service collapse, security chaos, governance failure, cultural disruption. These aren't hypothetical, they're logical consequences, inevitable consequences, demonstrable consequences. Understanding these consequences helps understand why nations maintain borders, why governments enforce them, why systems exist. Not because borders are ideal, because removing them creates worse problems than keeping them creates. This doesn't mean borders should never change, doesn't mean current policies are optimal, doesn't mean immigration restrictions are always justified, doesn't mean we shouldn't question, shouldn't reform, shouldn't improve. We should, we must. Border policies need constant evaluation, constant improvement, constant humanization. They're too restrictive in many cases, too harsh in enforcement, too indifferent to human suffering. Reforms are necessary, changes are needed, improvements are possible. But reforms work within system. Changes modify existing structure. Improvements make borders more just while maintaining their organizing function. Complete removal without replacement creates chaos we explored, creates problems without solutions, creates costs without benefits. Understanding this helps inform reform, helps create better policies, helps balance humanitarian concerns with practical governance needs. That's value of this exploration. Not proving borders are good. Proving borderless world is impractical. Therefore borders are necessary. Therefore making them more just is important. Therefore reform matters. Therefore we should improve what we can't remove. The scenario we explored showed humanity's movement, humanity's desperation, humanity's hope. Millions seeking better lives, pursuing opportunities, trying to survive. That's real. That's legitimate. That's understandable. Their struggles matter. Their suffering matters. Their aspirations matter. But scenario also showed consequences, showed chaos, showed collapse, showed why structure exists, why organization matters, why managed systems enable better outcomes than unmanaged chaos. Both realities matter. Both truths coexist. Both must inform our thinking. What can we learn? That borders serve purposes, that those purposes are necessary, that removing borders without addressing those purposes creates problems, that reform is better than removal, that improvement is better than elimination, that managed migration is better than unrestricted flow, that humanitarian concerns must balance against practical constraints, that ideals must meet reality, that perfect solutions don't exist. Only better compromises, only improved balances, only more just systems within structural constraints. This scenario was exploration, not advocacy, not prescription, just examination of possibilities, of consequences, of realities. Understanding what would happen helps understand what exists, why it exists, how to improve it. That's valuable, that's educational, that's purpose of thought experiments, not to prove points, to illuminate complexity, to reveal trade-offs, to demonstrate that simple answers don't exist for complicated questions. Borders a complicated question, deserve complicated answer, deserve nuanced understanding, deserve thoughtful consideration, not slogans, not absolutes, not simplicities, just honest grappling with difficulty, with reality, with necessary imperfection of organizing 8 billion humans on one planet. What do you think? What would really happen? What did we miss? What did we get right? Share your thoughts, share your perspective, share your understanding. These questions don't have final answers. They have ongoing conversation. They have collective thinking. They have shared exploration. That's what comments are for. That's what discussion enables. That's what makes these explorations valuable. Not my conclusions. Your reactions, your thoughts, your engagement with complexity, your willingness to think deeply about difficult questions. Thank you for thinking with me. Thank you for exploring with me. Thank you for engaging with complexity. These questions need it. These times demand it. These challenges require it. Subscribe to Alternate Realities for more thought experiments, more scenarios, more explorations of what if, more opportunities to think deeply about our world, about alternatives, about possibilities, about consequences. Next video coming soon. Until then, think about borders. Think about why they exist. Think about how to make them better. Think about balancing ideal with real. Think about pursuing justice within constraints. Think complexly. Think deeply. Think honestly. Our world needs it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for thinking. See you next time.